Hello, everyone. So today, I have the pleasure of having with me Maria Nunez with Compass, and she's going to talk a little bit about the Orlando and surrounding markets. Because as you already know, there's tons of folks that are leaving New York. Things are a little bit unaffordable, especially if you're buying, and a lot of people that tend to retire are either moving closer to family, want something that's a little bit warmer, lower cost and less taxes. So welcome, Maria.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Y tú hablas español también, right?
Sí, yo el español.
Entonces, alguna vez vamos a hablar español y vamos a hablar inglés. So we're going to speak a little bit of Spanish,
Okay.
a bit of English, just to
Like,
make it kind of fit for people
it's
that
all good with me.
rather have it in Spanish also. Okay, so tell me, what is the Orlando surrounding market and its surrounding market?
Yeah. So Orlando, Central Florida, I would say, is encompasses, the downtown Orlando area. Then we have Walt Disney World area, Universal area, like where all the theme parks are, like the more touristy zone. And then we kind of extend down to maybe like an hour and 20 minutes away from Tampa. So, all the resorts are going to be on the southern end, and then towards the north, we're probably as far north as like maybe 30 minutes from Daytona Beach. So that's really the whole kind of Central Florida area, with Orlando being the biggest city in that area.
Okay. And why has it been so attractive to people in the past 5 or 10 years? Why Orlando and that's the surrounding areas?
Yeah. So a lot of the public schools in Orlando are really good.
Okay.
So, it's attractive to people to have to come and not need to use public or private schools. They can just go straight to public schools. And it's still pretty affordable compared to some of the bigger metros in the United States. We're making our way up there, but we're not yet like a Miami, Austin, New York City, anything like that. So, there is still some affordability here, and then space. Like, you can have as little or as much space as you want. There's still a lot of homes that sit on an acre of land, and you're still near supermarkets and malls and things like that. So, I think the diversity and the kind of property you can buy is great. And then also, proximity to theme parks. There are people who very much love like a Disney lifestyle, and then proximity to the beaches too, to where you can go for the day and spend all day at the beach, but then you're not, living exactly by the coast.
Okay. And the weather's pretty good all year round,
And
right?
the weather's great. We have no state income tax. I also have noticed people moving because they want to be in a more diverse city.
Okay. Now, how's the market out there right now? How's the real estate market?
So it's really interesting. We are still seeing properties that are flying off the shelf if they're priced right, or I would say even slightly underpriced. If they show in a good condition, if they are, really positioned well, they'll still go fairly quickly, I would say within a week. However, we do have a lot of inventory that's stagnant, homes that are either overpriced or need a lot of work, that are just kind of sitting on the market. And then we have a lot of new home activity. So there are a lot of builders who are offering really great rate incentives right now. There's still so much land to be developed in Orlando and in Central Florida. So we still have a lot of builders who are offering, great homes at a great price and now a great interest rate.
Yeah, because what I hear is that a lot of people are going for, instead of the older homes, right? They're going for the new
Mhm.
construction or waiting for the new construction.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing with the builders is they also own the mortgage company, so they can offer a 4.99% rate, where, rates right now are like close to 8. So I've had a lot of people this year specifically buying with builders for that reason, because of the interest rate they're offering.
Okay. And affordability, I think you touched on that before. A lot of
Mhm.
people that are moving from here, right,
Mhm.
are saying that, New York with the taxes and, my monthly mortgage and all those sort of things, even though I've done the right thing, you know,
Yeah.
I'm making decent money. I just can't do it. So one of the things that people are looking for is affordability. It's like, okay, so if,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes I tell people, you know, if you don't plan on buying here, you know, live maybe uncomfortable for 1 or 2 years, save as a lot of money, and then you have a bigger down payment somewhere else. But talk to me about affordability, like what are the price ranges and that type of stuff?
So it depends on what part of Orlando you go to, but I would say like an average price point for like a single family home is anywhere between 400 and 450. And then property taxes end up being a little over 1% of the purchase price. So it is, the tax bills are much lower than in New York right now. So that's also something that's really attractive to people coming down here. And then we also have several exemptions that people can apply for. And I think buyers who are retiring, that's really attractive because they end up with a super low property tax bill because they've layered all these different homestead exemptions.
Okay. So, and
Mhm.
what about the what a lot of people are concerned about is you know, property insurance because of, you know, flood
Mhm.
insurance and that type of stuff. I know you're at this in the center of Florida, but talk to me a little bit
Yeah.
about that because that's been, you know, people have been talking about it in the news, but I would always like to speak to somebody that's actually there. So talk to me about.
Yeah, that's been tough the past year or so. We've had a lot of insurance companies pull out of Florida, and that's the thing. Even though we're fairly inland, when they're done servicing Florida, it's the whole state. So it doesn't matter how inland we are.
Okay.
If they're just not going to service Florida, that's it. And so it's become difficult with homes that have older roofs. So I would say anything that's a shingle roof that's between like 10 and 13 years old, it's becoming hard to insure. um the options that are available are just very few, and so a lot of people just end up going with the insurance company that's basically the state run company called Citizens, because it's just becoming harder to find good insurance carriers, or the ones that are still willing to write for your house. Like if you've owned your house for a long time, you may be seeing like insanely high premiums unless you go and shop around, because that's how much they want to charge to still continue to, provide coverage for your house.
Now for new construction, I guess they're being done with different standards, right? I mean, is it easier to get
Yeah, new
insurance for new
construction is
construction?
going to be way easier because
Okay.
everything's new. So that's another incentive for people to build because, they're not going to have this insanely high insurance bill.
Now, what? Give me an example, like if a typical home for
I'll give you an
that,
example of my house.
yeah.
My house is right under 1,500 square feet. My insurance bill is close to $1,900 per year. Sorry.
Okay, you're gonna it
So
was $1,900
yeah,
per year
yeah.
for that includes all in flood and everything else.
That's everything. Yeah.
Okay.
No flood insurance because in Florida we're not every house is required to have flood insurance
Oh, that's
unless
right.
you live
Yeah,
in a flood zone.
yeah,
So with flood insurance, it's around 1,900 a year.
1,900. But if you're living in the coast, you have to really look out for flood insurance.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you and not really, the flood insurance is more how elevated the property is to
Okay.
water. So there are some areas that just because of how high it was built up, it will be deemed a flood zone.
Okay.
And so then you see a flood insurance.
So 1,900. So let's say you get insurance like with the state or something. Is it around the same? Um.
Oh, my insurance is with the state because
Okay, 1,900.
my house was
Okay.
built in 1956.
So you're saying if it's
So
new construction, it'll be less than that.
yeah, new construction should be much less than that.
So it's not that bad. I mean, you're buying something for 400 to 500. You're going to get a decent house, right?
Yeah.
You're
Hmm.
also going to be paying about 1% of taxes, approximately
Yeah, a
1%,
little over 1%.
4 to 5 thousand a year, and then maximum 1,900 depending on the age of the property. So
Yeah.
if you come from here and you save up money and you have 50,000 or $100,000, I mean, it's not going to be as bad.
Yeah, yeah, definitely coming from up north, it's much less of a sticker shock from the people who, already live here.
But also they're going to save on state taxes. So
Correct.
if you live in a New York City, you're paying and I'm not trying to convince people to leave, but at the end of the day, I'm looking out for folks, for the best interest of families and individuals, and that's it. So
Yeah.
whatever they can do to make it work for them, they have to do. We can't control what's happening in New York. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, 400,000, 400 to 500, less property taxes. Insurance is about the same here as in New York. But at the same
Mhm.
time, if you're living in New York City compared to living in Florida, you're saving money on not having to pay New York State income tax and New York City income tax. And if you're living in Long Island, you get rid of the New York State tax. So you actually
For
put more money in your pocket. Now, the only thing you have to be concerned with is jobs out there. There's plenty of jobs, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, our biggest sectors are Disney World is a massive employer for the
okay.
area, and then healthcare. We have a lot of hospitals. We have a lot of urgent cares. So I would say like the medical field, and then Disney tend to be some of the biggest employers.
Okay, very good. That's great information. Now, your ideal scenario of somebody selling from here, right? And let's
Mhm.
say, if it's a client that's going to listen to you and take your advice from step one to all the way to the end. If they're selling from here and moving to Florida, what would they do? What would you recommend that they do?
I definitely recommend taking a trip first, exploring different neighborhoods, and really identifying where you want to be first. I think oftentimes with relocation clients, that becomes the biggest hurdle is we have so much to choose from, and we have a lot of great areas to choose from. So really it's defining what part of town is going to work best for you and your family's needs, and then focusing on that area. And then the one thing that is not so great about New York is that I know with closing dates, it's very much whenever everyone's ready. And here it's very much the date is the date is the
Right.
date. And we don't deal with attorneys, so we don't have like this back and forth of changing the closing date. So I would definitely, if you're coming down with the intention of putting in an offer and your offer is contingent upon your house selling, make sure your house is in contract, and even more so, make sure that you kind of have a good idea of, okay, this is kind of when we're going to close, because that's, I would say, like the big difference from Florida to New York is you can close the house here if you're buying all cash in 2 weeks. 2 weeks the closing will be ready. And I know over there it takes a bit longer, and you have to have so many people have a say in when you can close.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest thing too, is if it's going to be a contingent sale, your house should be under contract already.
Yeah, because over here it takes from beginning to end. I mean, when you get into contract, it can take 2 to 4 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here
So
45 days is a long time to
45
close.
days is a long time. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking to sell, but one of the things I want to ask you, because I had this on another deal that I did, we were able to get into contract out of state with the contingency. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen that contingency? But it's not
Yeah,
so attractive to the seller, though. That's the only problem, right?
so yeah, we are seeing more contingency offers being accepted just because that's the state of the market right now. You know, someone who is going from paying a 3% rate into something that's 7.5, close to 8, they're gonna want things done a certain way to motivate them to leave. And so we're seeing more sellers accepting contingencies. I would only say, and this would be very agent specific, like if I was getting a contingent offer for a sale in New York, I would be kind of wary just because I personally know, that the closing dates are not firm over there. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I think is a little wonky. But yeah, we're getting sellers that are accepting contingencies to
I'm
sell.
curious. I'm curious. You have a set, like a hard closing date, which is I would love to have
Hard.
hard,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Meaning that
hard from when the offer is submitted, the date is already determined.
so what about if there's mortgage delays? Because mortgage delays happen, right? Like things happen within the mortgage process. So if there's mortgage delays, is an extension at any point? Do people revisit?
We can extend, people don't like to extend for free. So it'll come at a cost. But
Ah,
typically when people are submitting offers, they kind of check with their lender, hey, can you close this person in 30 days? They'll say yes or no.
okay.
And so typically as long as everything is matching up from the initial application, then you should be fine. And here the lenders really like to underwrite as much as they can up front.
Mhm.
So they have all the documents and underwriters already seen it before you've gone to contract. It's pretty much set in stone.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Wow, that's so pretty much that with that hard date.
Mhm.
If you don't close by then, the seller has a right to keep the earnest money or the down.
Seller has to, well, it depends when you cancel. So if you cancel within your financing contingency, that part is, up in the air. But if you're canceling last minute and you can't close, then yeah, the seller will keep the deposit.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah.
Because we have an
Yeah.
on or about 30 day here. We set a closing date. And what that means is that we're
Yeah.
on or about 30 days. And then usually it's extended or we have a time of the essence. But wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so if somebody's selling pretty much, you know, the main thing is either buying beforehand if you have the capacity to buy, right?
Yeah.
And just getting that out of the way and then using the proceeds from the sale to maybe pay off your mortgage
Mhm.
or bring down your mortgage and then refinance at a later day. Or literally wait till you're in contract or something, or
Yeah, wait till you're in
further on in
contract to
contract, even a
kind of
clear to
know.
close.
Yeah.
Even a clear to close, because if you have a clear to close, and you got to have some place to stay. I always tell people the ideal scenario. I have a situation with some people that I'm talking to right now.
Mhm.
The husband has a sister that lives in the same neighborhood and has his daughter that lives in Florida. So
Yeah.
for them, it's just like, you know what, we're willing to just sell, put the cash in our pocket, we'll put the stuff in storage, stay somewhere, and then we could shop at ease. And then we're more powerful buyers because guess what?
Yeah.
We have the cash in hand and there's no contingency.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what I tell people who want to buy and sell here as well. It's when you're doing them both at the same time, it's hard to get the best deal on both ends. You're
Yes.
either sacrificing a little bit on the sale or
Yeah,
compromising a little bit on the buy.
absolutely.
And it's annoying to move twice, but if your biggest priority is selling your house for the highest amount possible and then buying for the best deal possible, that just might be something that you have to do, because it's hard to line everything up perfectly. And we used to, pre-COVID, COVID kind of made things so we were finding the house first and then listing the house while we were in contract,
Yeah.
because things were going so fast. But pre-COVID, we used to be able to be done with these in like 37 days, 45 days, because we get a pretty good offer pretty quickly. Now things are taking a little bit more time to sell. So it's definitely been a bit more challenging.
Yeah, yeah, it's a change that
Yeah.
it's happening. And somebody that doesn't own whatever it is, the same thing. It's just basically going out there, seeing the landscape, studying a
Yeah.
little bit. And then I guess going forward, I mean, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, I think the best thing to do is to schedule maybe a Zoom call, a phone call with you first, so that you can
Yeah.
explain a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they wanted to reach out to you, Maria, how can they reach out to you?
You can call, text, email, DM on Instagram,
Okay, and what
whatever,
is your phone
whatever
number?
works. 407-782-6512.
Okay.
And my email is maria.nunez@compass.com. And then my Instagram is sell by BUY Maria.
Okay. Okay, Maria, thank you so much for your time. Muchas gracias por tu tiempo. We didn't get a lot of mucho
Un
español ahí.
gusto. I
We
know.
understand que nosotros hablamos español también, okay?
La
So,
próxima hacemos una toda en español, si
sí.
gustas.
Okay.
Ya. Ok, que estén bien. Gracias. Bye.
Bye bye.